Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by my partner in film, Devin. And today, we're here to give our thoughts and insights on John Wick 4. And before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Audible, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter at FilmOptix. That is Optix with an X, or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. Devin, how's your week been, man? I feel like it's been a while since we've went to go see Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and now we're on to the next big thing. Well, yeah, the next big thing, John Wick 4. It's crazy. We're almost done with the month of March Madness, or you can actually say March Sadness, depending on if your team's doing well during the big March Madness tournament. But how have you been, buddy?
Yeah, I've been doing pretty good. It's been a pretty solid week. Got some good gaming in this week. It feels good.
Ooh.
Knocked out BioShock 2.
Oh, you finished it?
Yeah, it said like 10 or 11 hours on the how long to beat, and I beat it in like 6 or 7. So like, I guess I'm a speed running pro now.
Did you pop that on easy?
No, I had it on normal or whatever.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I want to go back to it because I want to finish, or I want to play BioShock Infinite, but I'm not sure if I need to, but I've been playing some Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider myself, but yeah, that's pretty cool.
I also started Atomic Heart, and that game is amazing. I'm only 2 hours in, but it just looks so good.
Devin, I think you're the first person I've ever heard that say, because everyone else tells me that it reminds them of BioShock and they just want to go back and play BioShock.
It's the opposite for me. I was playing BioShock and I was like, I want more. Let me go play this new version.
I mean, you could have just played, BioShock Infinite, but I'm just joking. It's all right.
I will eventually.
I will too, for sure. I spent some... Oh, wait, did you get anything during the Steam sale outside of, what was it, Sunset Overdrive?
Yeah, I got that, and then I also picked up Evil Dead on sale. Or not Evil Dead, Evil West, sorry. That it's like a killer zombie, like, Western game that came out this past year. Looked fun.
Yeah. Well, it looks like I came in at the nick of time to buy some Resident Evil, because I've never really played them. I remember you playing them like when we were younger, like Raccoon City. I remember you were so excited for that game, and then you were just so disappointed.
And 6. 6 was even worse.
That's right. And 6, man, God, it feels like forever ago. Yeah, I definitely remember you buying both of those, but I don't think I really played. But yeah, I wasn't a big Resident Evil fan, so I picked up Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake, both like $8. I was like, this is amazing. Like, I can kind of just jump into this franchise and just, have a ball.
Just skip the first one. It's actually too difficult.
Yeah, I see. That's what people tell me. It's almost as if when people are playing Mass Effect and I tell them, hey, you should play this game because the trilogy is really, really good. The first game, I always recommend putting it on easy, because the mechanics are so outdated that it's not fun to play otherwise. But I'm like, 2 and 3, you can put that on normal, hard, or whatever. You'll have a ball. But yeah, I've heard not to play the first Resident Evil game at all.
Not only is there limited inventory spaces, there's also limited saves. You can only save a certain amount of times. That's how difficult it is.
Man, what did that come on? PlayStation 2? 1? PlayStation 1? I think.
Yeah, that's probably PS1.
Yeah, definitely man. I feel like PS1 was so far long ago. But yeah, I'm glad you're, playing some Atomic Heart, having some good time there. Kudos to you for playing through BioShock. I'm assuming you played that on your Steam Deck, but hey, I don't know.
Yeah. And I got Resident Evil 3 remake next up. Played the second one and it was great.
So did you buy or did you pre-order Resident Evil 4? Or are you going to wait?
I'm going to wait on that one. Just want to play 3 first.
Yeah, I feel it for sure. But yeah, with all that out of the said, we just talked about video games for like the first 6 minutes of the podcast. Hey, it is what it is. But yeah, I actually, outside of video games, I have watched the first 4 episodes of Ted Lasso, season 3. And it is
There's been 4
phenomenal.
episodes. I thought it was only like 2.
There's 2 for the public. I got sent 4 for screeners in the Apple screen. We got to get you set up with that, by the way. It's pretty nice, but I think, it's only the first 4. But my gosh, it is fantastic. Can't really say anything outside of that, but
I also started, I was going to bring up, I started that Swarmed series on Prime, the one from
with
Donald
Billie
Glover.
Eilish and Dominique Fishback.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know if I can even keep watching because of how insane it is. I'm only 2 episodes in.
It's on Prime. Okay, how many episodes is it, or is it weekly?
I think it's like 7.
See, I want to start that, and I also want to start Yellow Jackets. I've been meaning to start that for a very long time, and I'm trying to. Well, there's so much TV out right now; it's really hard to keep up. And alongside with the movies here, we're talking with John Wick, but it's like it's crazy. But I want to start that Swarm show as well. Got to support Billie Eilish any way I can. And of course, Dominique Fishback as well. But enough chitter chatter, Devin. We're here to talk about some John Wick 4. We're going to be getting all into it. Yeah. So if you are new here to the show, welcome to our podcast. Thank you for clicking on this episode. And, we're going to be giving our thoughts and insights on John Wick 4. If you're new here, we usually break down our reviews into initial reactions, spoilers, final thoughts and ratings, and then we close on out. So without further delay, let's get straight into it here. We'll be right back after this introduction to John Wick 4.
This hit goes out to you, Mr. Wick.
42 regular, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so it begins.
Yeah. I'm living in this time behind enemy lines, so I got mine. I hope you
Challenge you to single combat.
If you win, you'll have your freedom.
And when I see you, I'ma take what I want, so
Amen.
yeah. You ain't real, hope ya. Y'all feel the wrath of Hero. Many try, many die. If you wanna war, get it bloody.
C'est pas pour les gars. Come on.
The only way John Wick will ever have freedom and peace is in death.
Yeah. Not really.
And we are back with our John Wick 4 review. Man, oh man, a 3-hour movie that I did not know that was 3 hours when I walked in that theater during my screening. It was super, super crazy. But I'm actually going to pass over the director and synopsis over to my partner in film, Devin, because your boy's voice is a little raspy today. So Devin, if you wouldn't mind taking over for introducing the cast.
Yeah, the story is as follows. I believe that's how you usually get it started. But John Wick uncovers a path to defeating the High Table. But before he can earn his freedom, Wick must face off against a new enemy with powerful alliances across the globe and forces that turn old friends into foes. Directed by Chad Stahelski and written by Shay Hatton, Michael Finch, and Derek Kolstad, who is also the creator of the characters.
Yeah, and the movie starts Keanu Reeves, Laurence Fishburne, and the now late Lance Reddick as well. And I actually want to say Devin actually threw in the writers there because I did not add that into the template whatsoever because I totally forgot. But it's amazing that my partner in film here is, going above and beyond the Call of Duty. But let's get into our initial reactions here. I'm going to pass it over to Devin because he just got out of the theater and watched this bad boy. I thought he was going after work, but he texted me. He's like, wow, that was good. I was like, wait, you went already? He's like, yeah. So, Devin, take it away with your initial reactions.
Yeah, I was all ready for the Wick, but I just wanted, before we dive in, just give a shout out to Laurence Reddick because I feel like he's definitely a lesser known actor in the pop culture world, but I feel like definitely show some respect for him because he had a great career and he was only 60 years old when he passed. Obviously, he was in all the John Wick movies. He was in
The Wire.
He was in a couple games as well. Destiny. He's in The Wire. He's in Destiny. He was in Horizon Zero Dawn. Had a great role in that game as well. So yeah, I just wanted to give him a shout out. Very fitting performance for him in this movie as well. Kind of a good way to end things for him. But yeah, John Wick 4. We keep saying, I feel like we said the exact same thing for John Wick 3, but this is the only movie series where the movies just keep getting better with every sequel. And it's never been done before. It's insane to think about, but it just keeps happening over and over when you least expect it with this series because they just know what wrinkles to throw in there to keep things fresh and keep things up to date and keep your mind just wandering with what ideas that there could be thrown into this world. And I just love that for this series. And this one is no different. You mentioned there's a 3-hour runtime, which does you do feel it from time to time, but it well makes up for it with all the fight scenes that are thrown in there because these are some of the best fight scenes you'll ever see. Like you can say that for the whole series, but specifically for this movie, there's just so many memorable scenes and locations and fights and weapons and characters. It's just all so well done. I love the introduction of new characters here, including Donnie Yen's character. Donnie Yen's obviously just a legend in just martial arts and comedy and all of it. His character Kane was amazing. We got Hiroyuki Sanada being introduced as well, another legend in the game, and he had a few great moments in this one. And then let me find who this was. I did not recognize the actor, but he kept calling himself Nobody in the movie. He doesn't have a character name.
Right. Yeah. I remember him. It's been like a week since I've actually seen it. So Devin's mind is way more fresh than mine is when it comes to this. But I do know who you're talking about. I have a
I wanted to shout him out. His name is Shamir Anderson. And I had not seen him before, but I really, really liked him in this. And I feel like if there's ever a Deathloop series or movie ever made, then he should just be cult. Guaranteed. Just lock it in now. For anyone who's played Deathloop, it definitely was giving me those vibes.
So yeah, Devin has gone above and beyond the Call of Duty when it comes to this because, like he said, we are both big John Wick 4 fans here, and it was a blast to watch. Like I said before, I did not know that this was 3 hours, or technically it's 2 hours and 49 minutes altogether. But I did not know this was darn near a 3-hour movie because we saw it in IMAX for our screening, which was insane. The thundering hooves and, the punches, you could feel everything. And I didn't know it was 3 hours. I was sitting next to a few people that I knew, and someone reached over to me they're like, man, can you believe this movie is 3 hours? And I thought they were messing with me. No, they were not messing with me. Our screening started at 7 o'clock, 7 or 7:30 at night. And I mean, I was a little wiped from work, but I was able to stick through it for the most part. And I absolutely loved it. There's so much movie in this movie, just the way that it even starts off. It wakes you up, number one. And it is so...
The fight scene in Japan to start things off is just unreal.
Yeah. That was probably my one of my favorite parts. When it comes to the action scenes, we've kind of mentioned, they keep bringing more new stuff to the table. And there are a few things that may seem familiar because you might be thinking, how can they top this? How can they top this again? You know, we've gone through this 3 times already, but I feel like this is a fantastic way to, you know, close out for John Wick's arc altogether. You know, he's been doing this for 4 movies. I never really thought they were going to make a 5th one, but overall, you know, when it comes to John Wick's arc, I think this puts a nice little bow on top of his journey that he's been through. You know, every single character, it's just bringing their A game when it comes to this. You know, Lance Reddick, you know, the late Lance Reddick now, he's just phenomenal in this movie. You know, of course, you know, Keanu Reeves is being Keanu Reeves, and Laurence Fishburne is, you know, it also makes me think
we got
like
Clancy Brown in here. We got Mr. Krabs up in here. Like,
I know
that voice.
But yeah, it's, you know, you have so many action sequences, and it gets to the point where it can be a bit unbelievable. But, you know, I've seen a lot of people compare John Wick to the Fast franchise, saying, oh, you know, if you go see John Wick 4, you know, he's basically like a superhero now. He's invincible and, you know, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, like, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit. Like, yeah, it is John Wick. He is not supernatural. He's not a superhero, but he is a hero of sorts. But I love the John Wick franchise, especially this one, because it is just a live action anime, and I am all here for it. But I've seen a few people, like I said, compare the ridiculousness and the suspense of disbelief in Fast and Furious to John Wick, especially after this movie, especially with the big car scene. But I mean, my response to that is like, there's no real difference, because the Fast and Furious movies that franchise started as a racing franchise. It had nothing to do with these big action set pieces. They have completely moved the Fast and Furious franchise into a different way, into a different direction, I should say. For John Wick, it has been, you know exactly what you're going to get when you go to the movies to watch this, you know, to watch John Wick, and Keanu Reeves just, you know, kick some butt and take some names. And there was a specific top over, kind of like almost like a video game.
I was gonna mention that the top down scene. It's one of the best things I've ever seen in a movie. Like, straight up,
I agree.
Like,
Yeah.
I was just in awe. That whole, it was probably like, what, 5 minutes of just
something like that. Yeah,
it's just an insane scene to watch.
I love it. I was just in this movie. You know, there is a story here. You know, even Bill Skarsgård, not Alexander Skarsgård. Bill Skarsgård is in this movie as well, and he plays a fantastic villain. It is just,
he's back to his villain days, unlike Barbarian, where he tricked us for one movie.
Hey, yeah, he tricked us good. I'm not gonna lie, he really, really did. But man, for this movie, I just absolutely loved everything about it, and it makes me wonder why the Oscars do not have a, you know, stunt ensemble, a stunt ensemble category altogether, because it's like this would easily be nominated along with so many other things. Like, you know, I'm not sure if you've ever watched the Raid movies, Devin, but those movies are insane. Like, the action is crazy, and John Wick 4 is, whew, I mean, there's a reason why it's sitting at 95% for critics right now and 94% for audience. As of this recording, it is now just hitting theaters as of March 23rd, 2023. But yeah, 163 reviews on the critic side. 95%, you know, it's amazing. Like, I love that we were.
It really is incredible.
Yeah. And I'm like, I want to go see it again. And I was planning on seeing it. I thought about seeing it today, but again, you know, I've just been feeling a little under the weather and just a little tired from this week altogether. But I want to see it again so bad. I want to go see it with some friends because it looks amazing. And if you're gonna go see this
in a
movie,
crowded theater, you see it in a crowded theater because there's some great reactions, like even ones you wouldn't expect to have.
Right. And that, I was also gonna say, if you're gonna go see this movie, you need to watch it in IMAX. I'm not sure if you watched it in IMAX 7, but it is insane.
Yeah, I watched it in the Cinemark equivalent XD, whatever it's called.
Oh, Cinemark. I miss Cinemark. But yeah, IMAX, this movie, it just pops. It's fantastic altogether. But let's get into spoilers really quick here. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen John Wick 4, that is your first spoiler warning for the movie again. That is your second spoiler warning for the movie. So if you have not seen John Wick 4, turn back now, go watch it, and then come back and listen to the rest of the episode. So for the spoiler, it's really just two things. Number one, Devin, did you stay for the post-credit scene? Because I did not.
I did not, actually. I did not know there was one.
Didn't know there was one either. I'm not going to lie, because one of my friends, Jacob, was like, man, like a few of us walked out halfway through because we were waiting for a post-credit scene and it didn't come. And then like literally as soon as we walked out, like maybe 2 minutes later, it came on, but I can't remember what it was. But either way,
I imagine it was something to do with this upcoming series with Ana de Armas, the spin-off ballerina series.
Oh, that's right.
That's just a guess, though.
I think so. But for the major spoiler in this entire franchise is that John Wick dies. And I believe they are going to be carrying on with other characters altogether. But yeah, that was, what did you think about that really quick?
It was definitely a surprise to see it at the end, but it felt like a fitting end for him as a character for sure. Like, especially the way he got Kane out of his situation and just helped out a buddy. That's how he went out. Like, that's just the John Wick way. I just love that ending. We were just like, consequences, and then they cut to the nobody
his
character
wife.
and he just goes, they cut to the nobody guy and he just goes, that was pretty good. I got a good reaction out of the theater.
Yeah,
he's just one of us.
Yeah, just a simple guy trying to, he wants to be laid to rest. And Keanu Reeves being an executive producer on this movie really, really helped for sure. Alongside Chad, who is also the director of this movie.
But then I also would not be surprised if there's a post-credit scene where you just see a hand coming out of the grave. Like, it's John Wick. you do whatever you want.
Are we Shazamming this, Devin? Are we Shazamming this all together?
Yeah, Wonder Woman can save John Wick. I don't care. I just want him in my life.
So apparently, I just asked one of my friends. He wasn't super specific about it, but it is apparently dealing with Akira's character. So maybe they might be, following her.
The daughter
Yeah.
of, I don't forget his character's name, but Hiroyuki Sanada's
Yes.
character.
Yeah. I believe the post credit is about her kind of standing over John Wick's grave altogether. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much.
They definitely have some options for spinoffs and like continuations and everything because it's already announced the Ana de Armas series, and you can always fill in the blanks, or they just revive John Wick because he's John Wick and he does John Wick things.
Where do you think this John Wick spinoff series is gonna stream on?
I think I want to say Peacock. I don't know.
Well, let's see. Peacock is usually Universal. Lionsgate, which is the studio behind John Wick
I know
Chapter
1 through 3 are currently on Peacock.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the Lionsgate might be renting them out. I see, and I wasn't able to watch the first 3 beforehand.
I didn't either.
Yeah, March has been so. I didn't even get to watch all the Scream movies before watching Scream 6. Like, I probably could have just watched Scream 2022, but I wanted to start from the beginning. It's kind of like I can't just jump into like watching like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, which you need to do after you've played Hogwarts Legacy, by the way. But yeah, for Lionsgate, they don't have their own streaming service, so. Actually, I think that's a good thing because there's way too many.
I mean, give it time. There's an MGM Plus coming out.
Oh boy! Oh yeah, I forgot. God, there's so many streaming services with like the word plus in them all together, but I can't. But yeah, I would love to go back and rewatch all the other John Wicks. I didn't get a chance to. There's just simply too much going on in March. There's simply too much going on in March altogether between TV shows And, we had The Last of Us, we have Dungeons and Dragons, we had Shazam, we had 65. There's so many movies that came out. A Cocaine Bear that came out in March. And it was very hard to go back and rewatch the first 3 John Wicks before watching this. But I would like to at some point if I can find the time altogether. But let's get into our final thoughts and ratings, unless you had something else you wanted to mention before we close out here.
Yeah, I had just a few things I wanted to throw in there. I just wanted to mention, I just love, it feels like the director and writers of this series just know exactly what buttons to push to keep things fresh. Like they'll throw in nunchucks, like in this one, that just, it's a classic in the genre, but it's so refreshing to see John Wick just use nunchucks. And then the gun as well, it's kind of like gun chucks. It's just so cool. I also just love how I think we mentioned this before, but it's basically a genre now. Gun fu. Like, I don't know if there was one before John Wick that kind of pioneered it, but it feels like John Wick made it its own thing. Gun fu is just such a cool concept, and they execute it so well. And these fight scenes are so well made. Like, there's no shaky cam. That's usually the issue with most fight scenes. It's shaky cam. Mm-hmm. It looks dumb. But for this one, it's steady cam. They stay on the characters for a long time. You see exactly what's happening. Like, you're not missing anything. They're not cutting away. That's what makes it so good, because it was made by stunt actors. They know what they're doing. That's why all these fight scenes are so good. And also, we've got to give some love to the dogs out there. At the end of the day, this is a movie series about dogs, and we got another good dog in this one.
Yeah, we did. I actually believe today, as of March 23rd, I think it's National Dog Day. I think so. I think I saw
that would be perfect.
Yeah. Hey, maybe there's a reason why they didn't drop Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 on the same day all together. But man, oh man, it is.
I also wanted to mention that stair scene. I thought it was pretty goofy, but then the ending just made it all worth it, because when that dog pissed on that man's head, I can't remember a bigger laugh in a theater than that. Like, that was, especially for a non-comedy, like, the theater was dying at that, myself included. Like, that was just amazing.
That was cinema.
Peak cinema.
Yeah. Yes. peak cinema altogether. I see. It's peak cinema. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So let's get into our final thoughts and ratings here. Devin, what are your final thoughts and ratings on John Wick 4?
Yeah, final thoughts. I feel like there's so much to there's so much to love, and like we mentioned, it is 3 hours, but I think it's well worth it in the end because of the amazing action fight sequences you get throughout. Like, of course, there's some moments where people are talking, and there's some story and some world building that goes on. Like, we get some more info on the high table, and they just kind of feels like they just kind of make things up as they go as far as that goes. But it's entertaining at the end of the day. There's definitely a couple scenes where people are just kind of walking slowly, where you're just like, all right, let's pick up the pace a little bit here. Like, But then the fight scenes are just so amazing. I just loved all the locations too. Like we mentioned, it starts off in Japan, and then we go to Paris, and there's a bunch of Paris landmarks that I don't know much about, but they looked really cool. Like that that car fight scene on that famous, I'm guessing it's famous, that little, I guess it was a roundabout. I don't know what else you would call it, but that was really cool.
Yeah, I call it roundabout for sure. So what would you rate this this masterpiece of a movie?
Yeah, there's not really, I mean, I guess the only real weakness is that it is a bit too long, but I don't think it takes away too much from the actual movie because of, like I mentioned, they just more than make up for it. And that top-down scene is just, that's actually peak cinema. Like, I can't think of a moment like that in a long time from a movie that made you feel like this is insane what I'm watching right now. So, yeah, I'd probably give it like a 95 overall, just like, it's John Wick just keeps peaking every movie. Like, we keep saying it, it's getting better and better. And I don't know if there's plans for a new one or a next one. I know that we've got some series in the works, but I'll take whatever I can get as far as this world goes, because it's just amazing to watch.
My final thoughts pretty much align with yours. The biggest weakness, again, it's, you can argue that, it's too long for an action movie, but given the stakes that we've seen with this film and, the finality that is, John Wick, I think the runtime is pretty much warranted. I do want to see it again. I got to see it with some friends, man.
Did you see what they came out with the original runtime was before editing? Did you see what that was?
No, I did not.
They cut out about an hour. The original edit was like 40 something.
That reminds me of was episode 3 of The Last of Us with Bill and Frank. I guess there was like pretty much a feature length film. It was like 2.5 hours.
I mean, give us a Bill and Frank movie now.
Hey, I'm there for it altogether. But yeah, as far as my rating, I would also give it a solid 95. I think out of every movie we've seen this year, this is probably like my number one, like easy. When it comes to the runtime, it can be a bit lengthy, but it's like, it's just more John Wick in your life. And, you know, we can never get enough of that. It's definitely worth it altogether. Absolutely. So with all that said, that is a wrap on today's episode. And if you like what you heard on today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform of choice and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X to stay in the know. And always make sure to share an episode of our podcast with a friend, whether it be your mother, your brother, or your significant other. Make sure to share an episode of the Film Optix podcast with a movie lover in need. And now let's take a sneak peek at what's coming up next on the show. So what we have coming up next, we have our Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves review that will be dropping alongside more of a double feature review with our Batman, the Doom That Came to Gotham review. That is the latest DC animated movie that will be hitting store shelves on March 28th. So we're going to be doing, you know, a little bit of magic with the Dungeons and Dragons and some magic and dark magic with the Batman, the Doom That Came to Gotham. That's a very long title for a animated movie, but honestly, so is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. But I'm here for it as long as it flows well together. But really quick, what you can listen to right now, you can listen to our Shazam Fury of the Gods review. I had to do it that way. This feels very empowering when you say Shazam. You can listen to that review on our podcast right now alongside of our episodes 1 through 10 of the Last of Us series, which Mike Thomas joined us on a few episodes in between. So you can definitely check out all those episodes and make sure to check out our Scream 6 review. That is spoiler free because we don't want to spoil anything about that movie because it is so darn good. But that is all for us today. Again, thank you for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. I'm Christian, and that was Devin signing off. And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Baba Yaga, David.
I could have kept going for like an hour. That was just so amazing.
That was amazing.